Remember, no more dad jokes.
But I love telling jokes. I am dad jokes.
Yeah, well, it doesn't really fit.
Okay, well then no more watching Hamilton.
All right, you can tell your dad jokes.
Well, then I guess I'll let you watch Hamilton.
Pax.
Pax. From 1963, it's Donovan's Reef, starring John Wayne, Elizabeth Allen, and Lee Marvin. This is not a traditional holiday film, but it does take place during Christmas, and Christmas features prominently in the storyline, so I think it's a lot of fun to watch during the holiday season.
Yeah, I like how it tells how Christmas is on a tropical island.
You know, I kind of want to do the tropical Christmas thing one time. I've done the snow Christmas thing 51 times. I want to do the tropical Christmas thing just once, at least. This is probably a good time to put in the disclaimer. This film is a product of its time. It was made in 1963, so it can be culturally insensitive during portions of the film. But if you acknowledge that and you talk about it, which we did, I think you can still enjoy the film for what it is, which is just a straightforward adventure comedy, which is supposed to be a lot of fun. And I think it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like how there's a lot of characters in this, not just 2 or 3 to focus on.
That's true. It's a big ensemble cast with a lot of storylines, and they're having a ball, you can tell. But because it has so many characters and so many storylines, while it's easy to watch and follow and understand, it's incredibly hard to explain it. So we're going to assume that you've seen it, and when we talk about the characters, you'll understand them. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you check it out. It's a lot of fun, and I think John Wayne has a really good time here, and he plays off of both Lee Marvin and Elizabeth Allen really well, but that just scratches the surface of how much is going on and how much fun is being had on this tropical island, right?
I like how Donovan and Gahuli, Lee Marvin's character, I like how they share a birthday and have a fight. And I think that's really fun and funny, and it's probably one of my favorite parts in this movie.
And that's interesting because, again, that's a product of the time period, but I think you get the sense of comedy that they were going for. Now, Lee Marvin's Gilhooly and John Wayne's Michael Donovan both served on the same ship in World War II, and like you said, they share a birthday. December 7th actually is their birthday. And every birthday for the last 20 years, and they can't remember how or why it started, they wind up in a barroom brawl. And wherever one of them is, the other one shows up. Usually Donovan will be in one spot and Gilhooly will show up wherever that is. And here it's Haleakaloha, the island that the movie takes place on, or is set in. And they get into a barroom brawl in Donovan's bar called Donovan's Reef, which is where the movie gets its name. So I'm glad that you understand that that's just supposed to be fun and funny, and these guys are really good friends, actually.
Yeah, I like how there is a lot of characters, but I feel like Donovan gets along with every character in a different way. And I think that's part of the reason is because John Wayne is a good actor.
I agree with you. You know, he got a lot of criticism. A lot of people think he's very wooden or he always just plays John Wayne. That guy gets it. He can play humor. He can play different aspects of a storyline. And I don't know, when I watch this movie, I would like to be there. I feel like I would like to be there and hanging out with John Wayne, personally. Maybe you wouldn't want to hang out with John Wayne, but I think I would. Now, there's another war buddy on the island that had also served on the destroyer with Gilhooly and Donovan, and his name is Doc Dedham, and he's played by Jack Warden. He's a doctor, of course, and he's actually a single dad. He has 3 kids, and their mother was the hereditary princess of the island, Manolani. She died in childbirth, unfortunately, so that's why he's a single dad. And that's the other key piece of the plot line here. When he goes off island to take care of sick people on other islands, the kids stay with or are watched by John Wayne's character. They call him Uncle Guns. Guns is his nickname because he was the gunner's mate on the ship. And it turns out that Elizabeth Allen's character, Amelia, who is Doc Dedham's other daughter that he's never met and is from Boston, is on her way to the island. And one of the reasons she's on her way to the island is because she's been running the Dedham Shipping Company. And because somebody died on the board, Doc is supposed to inherit the shipping company, but he doesn't know that yet. So she's on her way to the island to prove that he's unworthy of inheriting the company so she can continue to run it. She's already decided who he is. Because he didn't come home and take care of her and fulfill his obligations to the family and stayed on a tropical island, she assumes he's a certain kind of person. And she's on her way to do that. Because Doc's friends assume she's going to be a certain type of person, very uppity and snooty, they decide that it would be best if Donovan pretend the kids are his temporarily until Doc can get back and explain to Amelia that she has a couple of half-sisters and a half-brother.
Right. And I actually found that whole storyline interesting, and I like the competition between her and Donovan because they both think each other is a different way.
Right. She thinks that he's not too bright. He's just a roughneck. Turns out he was college educated and he's a smart businessman. He actually has a shipping business of his own, owns several ships. He thinks she's snooty and uppity and can't just have fun, and it turns out to be very much the opposite.
Actually, in one of their competitions, they're trying to see who can swim faster to get to the island, and she wins. And I really liked that because of the way he thinks she is. And I don't know, I think that she plays a really good part in this.
I agree. You know, their competitions work out because each gets the better of the other at different times, unexpected times, and it works. Now, she's 22 years younger than him in real life, and John Wayne was embarrassed by that. But in reality, they have great chemistry on screen, and it works really well, and she does a great job with her part. And every time they would get into one of these rivalries, when it would finish, she'd put her hand out or he'd put his hand out and they'd say Pax, which is Latin for peace. So they'd come to some sort of a truce until the next dust up when they'd get into another competition of some sort. But you could tell that they're kind of falling for each other because they earn each other's respect through the course of the movie.
Yeah, I liked how Amelia finds out that Leilani is her sister and all of the other little girl and the little boy. And I like how she finds that out, but I also really liked Leilani. And I think Leilani is a pretty important character in this.
Oh, I agree. The Christmas piece comes in at that point because at one point they're cutting down a tree to use as a Christmas tree, and there's a monument on top of the mountain where they've gone to do that, which lists the names of Donovan and Dedham and Gilhooly because they, were on the island and served there because they had been shipwrecked. And another aspect is the ceremony that occurs during Christmas Day where Leilani, who is now the hereditary princess of the island, officiates over the ceremony. And that's pretty much where Amelia finally is sure that, oh, she's my sister and she's not Donovan's daughter. She's my dad's daughter. And she welcomes Leilani to the family. And at this point, she's a little bit mad at Donovan because she realizes, again, that he judged her prematurely.
Right. And I think that all of these characters, there's so many, but I feel like this is a really good movie to watch. And I think it's a really fun movie in general.
Yeah, they all have a moment to shine. Dorothy Lamour is in here with a small part. Cesar Romero is sort of the fourth friend. I don't think he served in the war with them, but the kids call him Uncle Andy, and he's the governor of the island. So really, and I was going to mention this, when you take John Wayne's character, Lee Marvin, Jack Warden, and Cesar Romero, the four friends, three of which were in the war together, and then there's the fourth, who's kind of, he's a governor, so he's a little more officious. I feel like this is where Glenn Larson and Donald Belisario got the idea for the original Magnum P.I. with Tom Selleck, where you had the three war buddies from Vietnam in this case, and then Higgins, who was in another war, but he's a little more officious and a little more austere. And instead of going back to their civilian life where they came from, they settle on a tropical island and build a new life for themselves. I feel like that's where the germ of the idea for Magnum PI came from Donovan's Reef. And that dynamic amongst these four really works very well. And it extends out to the bigger cast because they all know these people and interact with them and seem like they all care about each other, which is important. Because even though, like we said before, the film has aspects of cultural insensitivity, never for a moment did I doubt that these people all cared about each other and that race didn't really matter to them. At least the characters.
Right. I think that you could be right. Actually, that's a good point to make. I also like how they did put kids in this movie. And a lot of times I don't really like that, but I did think that this worked.
Well, the kids were important to the plot line here. They didn't have they weren't just in here for show. They had a reason to be here. They were important to drive the plot. Their comedy bits are worked in really well. They provide some comic relief at different points in the movie. The Christmas pageant being one of them. And it's a lot of fun. And you know, there's other characters in here like the pastor of the small church. He's a funny character, and he's got a lot going on. And there's all these different cultures that you get to see. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a feel-good movie, and if you take it for what it is and understand, again, that it's a product of its time, it's a lot of fun to watch during the holidays.
Yep.
For me. All right, for you?
This is one to see. I think that this is a fun and funny movie, and I think there's a lot of good characters in here.
Okay, for me, one to see. Mele Kalikimaka? Did I do that right? Mele Kalikimaka. Yeah, that's it. Mele Kalikimaka. See what I did there?
Oh, Daddy.